Your website is the mousetrap. Your content is the cheese. Welcome to Content Matters with Barry Feldman and Andy Crestodina.
Share it on Twitter. Post it on Facebook. Send it to people in an email. There is so much the same advice about how to promote content. Let's go in a different direction. Let's do some things that maybe you haven't heard before. Let's dig deep for some random, weird, obscure ideas. This podcast episode is about the non-obvious content promotion ideas. Welcome to Content Matters.
Tattoo it on your arse.
There's so many ways to do it. Not a bad idea. The whole thing or a Bitly link? Because that might be a big tattoo. You write some long posts.
Yeah, and it better be evergreen content.
I hope so. Let's jump in. I think we've got a list. We're in different locations. Barry, you're in Fresno. I'm here in Chicago. We are screen sharing and looking at a list of 29 ideas. Let's jump right in and just see how long this takes. This is going to be kind of a rapid fire, lightning round version of content promotion ideas, ways to drive traffic, actions you can take that will pull visitors into your website, onto that page, reading your article, that thing you worked so hard on. And I'm going to start with one that very easy to do, and some people do it well, a lot of people don't. Put a link to your article in your email signature. If you're anything like me, you're sending 50 or 100 emails a day responding to everyone who reaches out and whatever else, day to day. You can drive some traffic that way. You can actually track the traffic very easily by adding a UTM tracking code so that you can see the traffic separately in Google Analytics. But yeah, number one, add a link to your email signature.
Yeah. Correction, I'm not in Fresno. I've been to Fresno, but I'm in Folsom.
Oh,
Northern California. But yeah, this is a fun topic. Obviously, like you set aside the obvious ones to begin with, and we're going down the non-obvious path. And I think email signature is an awesome idea, and I use WiseStamp, which has a free service, makes your email signature, I guess, cloud-based and simple and cool, and features your photo and whatever social media links you want to use and your phone number and whatever. You customize it, and it automatically updates it to your latest blog post.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Oh, it puts that in there automatically.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. WiseStamp. W-Y-S...
No, like you'd expect to spell it, WiseStamp, WISESTAMP. They have some other services, and they have a premium version that makes their branding go away. So this is their sort of freebie app.
I like that. Here's another quick idea about the email signature. Just link to your author page. If your blog has an author page, link to the author page for yourself, because that's always going to have the latest link. So you can just have a link that says, see my latest, and then it always has the most recent, even without using a third-party tool. But that's clever. Number two on the list, everybody that uses Skype has a little Skype status that says, hi, I am busy, or hey, I'm here, I'm thinking about this. Hey, I don't live in Fresno. Whatever your Skype status says, change it to be a link to your most recent article. It takes 2 seconds. It's not obvious, but actually it's pretty visible. Anybody who searches for you in Skype can see it, even if you're not talking to them.
Yeah, it's usually something ridiculous because somebody did it and they forgot about it. But why not another place? Skype sort of borders on social media. Mm-hmm. Next, we have a little cheat sheet we're working from is your Instagram bio. Now, everybody knows that on Instagram you have one shot at a link and it goes in your bio, and so that's usually a homepage. I suppose for aggressive Instagram marketers, it might be a current promotion and so forth. But if you change it, you have to change it manually. So that might be a place where you put your author bio or a category that's your hottest. Or if you've got the time, and you're leaning hard on the latest blog post or ebook, whatever, you just update it.
Yeah, put that on your checklist for content promotion ideas. How about this one? Everyone on Facebook has a cover image. That Facebook cover image can be clicked on, has a little description. A lot of people, it's not super non-obvious, but you can put a Bitly link to something that you've done into the image, the cover image picture itself. Or, Andrea Vall showed me this. People actually click on those cover images, right? It's actually like a giant button. When you click on them, you get to a description. That description can contain a little bit of, a brand statement, a couple of links. You can put anything in there. So add the link to your latest in the Facebook description of that cover image.
Yeah, another kind of manual task that you might get around to or not. But certainly if you're promoting something big and evergreen, or something upcoming like a webinar. But I'm thinking book, because the Road to Recognition, my book, is featured in my Facebook cover image. And I did not know that you were going to say that, and I have not heard that tip from Andrea. So that's awesome. I should click through and see what you find.
Yeah, not very obvious. How about the offline? What's next?
Yeah, mention it in conversation, right? Why not, right? Especially somebody like you is so active with local networking, and you're kind of a globetrotter now with all of your speaking opportunities. And hey, Andy, what have you been up to? Oh, I just wrote this great post about how to get started with blogging and so forth. So I think, I suppose, there's going to come a time where somebody you're talking to is like, enough already with the content marketing. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities to talk about the things that you're writing and shooting and so forth.
Yeah, in that post you just mentioned, which I've been mentioning, an article about how to get started with blogging, I give the tip that in conversation you should mention your newsletter. Our first 1,000 newsletter subscribers I added manually through personal face-to-face conversations. So yeah, it's like it's literally word of mouth, but it's your words coming out of your mouth, and you can very easily do it because you talk to people every day. So yeah, look for excuses to mention your stuff, mention your favorite thing, mention that high converting thing, mention that thing that you're promoting now.
Yep. Print it on your business card. I suppose it probably wouldn't be a blog post unless you're going to print a lot of business cards, but print a link to your blog or your SlideShare account or what have you.
It's a good idea. You see the pros do it, and someone who's very active in networking is passing that out a lot. Suppose you have an organization that has like a really powerful white paper, get our best advice, the top 10 tips or the 5 biggest mistakes. Maybe the sales pros could have that on the back of their card saying, go to this address to download our top resources for people in your industry. Yeah, it's not obvious. Some people do it. I think again with a link shortener or some kind of vanity URL or campaign tracking code, you could actually measure the impact from it. Not obvious. Very smart.
Yeah. I think everything offline we talk about that is offline now is kind of non-obvious. Like embroidered on your golf shirt.
Embroidered on your golf. Not a bad idea. What's next?
Live streams, they have come to LinkedIn, as most people know. I guess maybe not most people know, but maybe by the time this airs, everybody invited. Right now, LinkedIn's inviting, sort of the early crop like they did with their publishing platform. But, you can do so on Periscope, and maybe it's dangerous to list the networks because they come and go. But live streaming works for a lot of content marketers or marketers. And why not talk about the things that you produce otherwise that you think people should read, download, see, watch, share, so forth?
Yeah, I like the live. I like that. I can imagine the tone of that post. Next, we're going to jump back offline here. I got one of these the other day. Barry, I'm serious. I got a big envelope, like a 8.5 by 11 sized envelope. Opened it up, and it was an article. It's like in the mail. Someone printed and faxed me an article that they had written.
So how do they know your fax number?
Oh, no, this wasn't fax yet. That was our next tip. Fax was the next tip, which is hilarious, actually. The fax machines did not go away. It's
remember when they used to run out of paper because of all the marketing nonsense that came across them? But yeah, print it. Why not? I mean, the reason I know and love you so much. Well, I guess that's evolved. But once upon a time, when you were just a name to me and a good blogger, and somebody whose work I admired, your book showed up on my desk. Talk about a delivery of content. Content chemistry. Because you wanted to start a relationship with me, it obviously worked. Content Marketing Institute. Joe Pulizzi comes from the publishing world, and he believes in it still. And they have the leading magazine in the field. Yeah,
magazine's a great example. I mean, that's an extreme example of content promotion, but I was in a doctor's office yesterday, and they had a giant glossy WebMD magazine. But if there is a small number of high-value people in your network, use the forgotten inbox. Consider printing that thing and licking a stamp and sending them an article. you mentioned the book. I have some radar set up in my mind where if I see a LinkedIn profile of a professor, professors sometimes have students, like an entire classroom of students, buy a textbook. And there are schools that use my book as a textbook. So if I see a professor or start interacting with someone who's at a university, if they pop up on LinkedIn, my automatic response is, "Hey, do you have a copy of the book yet? If not, I'd be happy to send one." And it's works really well.
Obviously, books are great for that, and you're now reminding me of how lazy I am because I believe that people at universities should start teaching personal branding and the many subjects in my book, and I've heard that suggestion a million times, and I haven't done it once. So there we go. That's my takeaway. I'm going to start sending my book to people.
Do it. It's not obvious.
All right, our non-obvious list is long, so we better get back to it. Make a Facebook video that introduces it. The next idea is make a video about it. So, I mean, your video about it, if it's not on Facebook, would be on your website or some other channel.
I kind of love that idea, and I've seen people do this to great effect. They don't just make the article; they make like a tiny commercial for the article, and it's just like a little. They just turn on their camera and they say, "Hey, here's what I'm working on. Hey, here are the highlights," and they just did, and it's really short. I mean, video dominates in social, and you can imagine how powerful that would be. So it's not obvious, I don't think, because most people don't do it. But how much effort would it take to make a video about your post?
It's a talking head video unless you make it harder than that. My somebody suggested that when my first book came out, SEO Simplified for Short Attention Spans, and I turned on the camera and I read the first chapter, and it's my most seen video on YouTube.
Amazing. All you did was turn on the camera and read. I love it. Okay, next. This is definitely not obvious. Create social media profiles on networks where you're not even active. Discuss, Vimeo, Flickr, maybe you're not on SlideShare. So make a bunch of social media profiles on those networks that you've ignored and put the link in your bio. So it's so simple.
And sleazy?
I'll let you decide.
Okay, how about this? You and I have been talking about the fact that we are book authors. And I think you have to pay close attention or know this or be an Amazon author to know. And where I'm going with this is that, it's not that hard to be an Amazon author anymore. You can upload something that that is offered for free or 99 cents or whatever. And so Amazon allows you to put your blog there. So if you go to my author page on Amazon, it's got a feed that looks just like sort of like the thing at the bottom of a blog. If you like this post, like a suggestion engine, right? You might like these. So my Amazon author page has my last 5 blog posts on it, and you can scroll and see the 5 before that.
That's smart. You're right. It's not much. Becoming an author on Amazon is not any rocket science. You upload an ebook, and now you've got an author page. Smart.
Yeah, it's a content marketing channel for sure. I mean, there's probably as many free products as paid now.
Yeah. I've got another one here. It is what I call crossing the streams. BuzzSumo can help with this. Just paying attention can help with this. Post the content. Look to see who shared it, maybe on Twitter. Look to see who commented. A day or two later, go to LinkedIn or a different network and share it there, thanking the people who shared it in the first network. Those people are very likely to share it in the second network because they read it, they liked it, they already shared it once. So crossing the streams, it's basically just a matter of thanking people everywhere. If there's an interaction or a nice thing that happens on network A, go thank that person for it on network B. You're highly likely to win this share. And all it was a matter of finding and tagging and thanking.
Yeah, you're highly likely to make a new friend and perhaps an important marketing partner or just networking connection, as we talked about in our last episode when we talked about influencing people.
Yeah. You've got some good tips here next.
Well, it's syndicated, and I suppose you could call that obvious, but I don't think that many people do. One place to syndicate it is LinkedIn. I think you probably wouldn't do that if it was about puppies and kitties, but if you had a serious business issue to discuss. It's insanely easy to repurpose your stuff on LinkedIn. You may or may not change the title. You may or may not, touch it up or cite the original source. And you can do the same on Medium. And I often do. And I don't know, they come and they go, the list is long, but look for opportunities to syndicate it. It's pretty easy.
I think that qualifies as non-obvious. I don't think most people do that, and there is nothing wrong with that. These networks want you to do it. I do recommend it. I like the way you put that, touch it up. LinkedIn is a broad network, so give it a headline that gives broad appeal. Give it a light editing job that makes it appeal to a general business audience, maybe more general, more broad than your website's audience. But and Medium, I know a guy that does that every day. He has a VA do that every day.
Yeah.
Repost old stuff.
Yeah, you can build a huge audience on Medium. Is it Jeff Goins?
No, Larry Kim.
Okay, yeah. Well, where is he not? But LinkedIn, it's also LinkedIn built that platform really elegantly, such that embedding things is lickety split easy. And so my touching up often involves using a SlideShare or a YouTube video.
Yeah, I think Control C, Control V. When you copy and paste from WordPress into LinkedIn, the images come right with it.
Yeah, it's not a real time consuming thing. And then you might, I don't know if this follows as non-obvious, but for me, I have, I'm an influencer on social media today. And so I have backdoor access to their CMS. So there's really nothing that I write either for me or my clients, provided my clients are in marketing, which most of them are, that doesn't eventually wind up on social media today. Mm-hmm. Which helps me and is a favor, like to you. Like I write a post for Orbit Media, and it just sees a secondary life and new audience to some degree on social media today.
I love it. I'm always grateful to see it there. This isn't obvious. Speaking of old stuff, old networks. The old, dying, but not quite dead social networks. If you've got a minute or you're adding something to a checklist that can maybe be delegated to a virtual assistant, or you're just building the ultimate checklist of all the things you do for the ones you work the hardest on. Stumble Upon, still out there. Dig, still exists. Delicious. Remember that social networking bookmarking service? These are places where you can post and share and tag and promote. So these are actions that only take a minute. People forgot about them.
All websites, yes, they robust. Oh. Speaking of old websites or crusty ones, Google Plus. I mean, I don't know if you call this obvious or not, but I think so many people have given up on it, and we've talked about, hundreds of millions haven't, and so it's certainly easy enough and worthwhile to put there too.
I'm not active there, but I'm a defender of Google Plus. People think it's a ghost town because it only has 100 million users or whatever. Like it's still massive. It's still massive. It's just smaller than Facebook, so people think it's a failure. But there are active communities, especially if you're in the communities in Google Plus. The recommendations for posting on Google Plus is to give it a little bit more of a heady, kind of cerebral post. Those people are very thoughtful, write a lot in the description. Don't go light. But it's a little bit of a joke to call it a non-obvious content promotion idea. A lot of people have kind of ignored it, but give it a minute. Put that over there. And if you're driving traffic from Google Plus, it's visible in your analytics, and you might find that the conversion rates from that source is pretty high.
Yeah. All right. I, as you know, am quite the SlideShare maniac, and so I'll toss forth the idea to create abbreviated content about your content or pictorial versions of your content about your content. SlideShare allows you to embed YouTube videos in your content, and so do the repurposing thing, put it on SlideShare. SlideShare pulled the plug on their lead generation service, and so it's on you now to create links back to your site or the online properties you want people to go to. But you might be surprised, it shows up on my Google Analytics radar every day. Traffic comes from SlideShare. Yeah,
you're a powerful force on that network, and I'm always impressed. And your content lends itself to it so well. I mean, you basically showed how an ebook and a SlideShare are just like such close cousins.
Yeah, but I wish I could say that's going in the direction I wanted to, but we'll hold out some hope for SlideShare. LinkedIn's sort of shuffling the deck at the moment.
Literally the deck. Linking to content, this is not obvious, but it should be. It's part of my checklist for every piece of content I promote. You post something new, that new thing you made probably links to other stuff. Totally normal, link from your new thing to whatever else. But did you take a minute to link to that new thing from something old? You're not done publishing something new until you have linked to it from something old. So I recommend going to an older post. We talk about mousetraps and cheese. Find some powerful cheese that's out there, a traffic champion, a high traffic post, maybe a ranking post, something that gets shared a lot. And take a minute to update that older thing with a link to that newer thing. You have muscles you haven't flexed if you have popular old content that you're not linking to the new stuff from. So I think that's a non-obvious one, a good one, an easy one, free, fast, and powerful. Anybody can link to something new from something old.
I learned that tip from you. I remind myself often to do it. I see the rewards of doing it. I just read something on Contently the other day about how important it is to help Google index your site with internal links. And it's not getting any easier to win external links. And so it's a great tip.
Yeah, internal linking. This next one is also a link. You've got a thank you page on your website. You probably have several thank you pages on your website. Are they dead ends? Are they blank pages? Do they have two lonely words that just say thank and you? If so, they might as well say goodbye or just go away. So update that thank you page to give people a path, keep people flowing through the website. The user's flow report in analytics is called that because we want our users to keep flowing through your website. So find every dead end in your website and fix it. Thank you pages is a common dead end. Make sure your thank you page links to other things. A good thing to link to from the thank you page is your latest or a new article or something relevant they might like. Get them back onto the blog where they might yet subscribe or share.
Yeah, totally. You're helping the customer experience. You're helping the customer, and you're trying to create stickiness. If you have a singular thank you page, which is probably not a great idea, but it's better than a no thank you page. You'd want to go with evergreen content or some sort of content hub. But if you make a lot of thank you pages, super easy exercise, especially if you're an experienced content marketer. You go, oh, you just downloaded this thing about keywords. Maybe you should read our thing about on-page optimization. Just something relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. Keep it relevant. What's next?
Oh, same goes for the email, right? Thank you emails. Today, marketing automation makes it so that you're usually in tune with where that person's email address came from. And even if you're not, again, think evergreen or think about some of your most popular content or think about the content that, best contributes to conversion in terms of winning a new business. And make your follow-up emails say, if you like this, you might like this.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. On that email theme, what other emails can include links to new posts?
Well, any email, it could be. I think the most obvious is a welcome series. This is how people learn about our service. This is people's favorite content on our service. This is an interesting story we told recently. Whatever. And so, it kind of depends on how far you are or are not diving into email, but certainly you can automate the process such that you are inviting people back to your content with this non-obvious idea that we're on. And then, let's see, we got thank you emails and welcome emails. I don't know. Do you want to add to the email?
No, we started with email signature, but I wanted you to touch on welcome emails there because you're a pro at this. You're the guy who got me to do this, and we're seeing great results from that.
Right. So the welcome email would be welcome. It's often a message from the boss. It doesn't have to be. It could be from a salesperson. I guess it depends on the size of your company and the intent of the email. And we're going to have a lot to say on this soon because I'm writing a post for Orbit about this, and I'm going to fill it full of ideas. But I think generally an idea would be, here's how we can help you. That's what content marketing is. So this is our popular post, or this is a post related to the form that you filled or the thing that you downloaded. And, people really love our video series, or people in the SaaS business, those welcome emails should say things like, here's how you get started with our product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a strike while the iron's hot tactic. Like if the person subscribed to your newsletter, they're very likely to take a subsequent action, especially if it's just a click. So the welcome email is reaching out to people right when their interest in you and trust and affinity is highest.
Totally. It's like somebody walks across the lease line in your clothing store. You don't go, well, I'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so next, I'm a big fan of Quora. I love the network Quora. Quora is sacred space to me, so please don't spam it. But there are people on Quora who have probably asked the question that your content just answered. It's perfectly legit to make that an answer that, make sure it's got strong evidence, make sure that it's concise, make sure that you support it and that it's respectful, and the Quorans will skewer you because they're not like Redditors. These people are tough on each other, right? They have high standards. But yeah, make a version of that answer on Quora and link back to your original. It's a no-follow link, so there's no SEO authority benefit, but it's not at all discouraged to link to content that's relevant and perfectly legit to share your advice on Quora and direct people in a gentle way back to your content.
The Quarans and the Redditors. It sounds like we're starting a new continent of media nations, but that's good stuff. You're the one that got me thinking along those lines, and I think you ended with a great idea that that comes with some sort of caution. Your foray into Quora should not be link bombing. Your foray into anything should not be link bombing. But if you're truly answering the question, and there's going to be questions about the things you've answered in your content, you can put a link there. You can put an excerpt there. I went further recently because I was looking for questions about lead magnets, and I took your advice. I basically put my blog post in there, and it's got a massive amount of upvotes, and it's the most popular answer in its thread.
Yeah, go big, respect it, honor it. It's a beautiful place. I love Quora, and it's my third favorite website behind Wikipedia and orbitmedia.com. Okay.
I'm jealous I didn't make the list.
We're on 26, I think, right? What do you have here? Oh, that's funny. Look at that one.
Text it to somebody who was mentioned in the article. Yeah, that's outreach, influencer marketing. That's probably not that obvious. People generally do that on Twitter or perhaps LinkedIn, but text, if you know their phone number, why not?
Text it. I love it. This is a fun list.
Email it. I don't know. Airmail it.
Airmail it. Yeah. It's the next one is you see these at trade shows. Take a piece of the content, put it as a PDF, make sure it's got links back to the rest of your site, and put it on a thumb drive, which is obvious utility to anybody. No one's going to chuck a thumb drive. Who wouldn't want a thumb drive? And give it away. Hand it to someone. Put it in someone's hands. Put it physically into someone's hands, and let them know that you've got some good advice on there for them, and obviously a useful tool that they can apply in other ways, a little storage device. So that's an offline, online hybrid way to hand people something.
Yeah, I've seen it done with kiosks and thumb drives and somebody holding a tablet. Would you like to get this? Or somebody, the obligatory trade show floor, tweet this and you'll get this thing. So there, if you're going to trade shows, think about the physical world and give your content away and make it a part of a list building and friend building effort. I don't know if I could say the next one with a straight face. This one's you. Yeah,
this list just degrades. We're at the end. Print it and with a magnet, stick it on your fridge. I guess if your roommates are in your target audience. And then we've got skywriting high over the city of Fresno.
What's your thing with Fresno today?
I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. I'm bringing it up out of this. I can't believe I said Fresno.
It's a big city. It's got a big college, often known for its great football program. So we won't be dissing on it. The weather's a little intense.
It starts with an F. It's in California. You might as well live there. It's all the same.
Frisco.
Smoke signals, Telegram, Balloongram, edible arrangement. I mean, just come up whatever, right? Put it like our goal here is originality. Oh, wait, before we move on, we shared this just a few minutes ago on social and said, hey, who has got ideas for us? Here are a couple. Remarketing. Christoph Trapp said remarketing.
Really?
Yeah, Shayla, whom you introduced me to, Content Pro, Shayla Price, says Flipboard.
Wow.
Great idea.
Yeah,
Flipboard.
well, a little bit of an investment there, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, all these crazy ones like what did you just say, edible arrangements, and at the top of the show I said tattoos. It sounds like we're screwing around, and we are. But I'm reading a book about Instagram marketing, and the person sort of overcoming my objection, which is Instagram is not for B2B companies. Instagram is for retailers, Instagram is for travel companies and stuff. Instagram is for stuff that lends itself to photographs. So, if you're a B2B marketer, if you're Orbit Media and, you're kind of selling your content, how do you do it? The author of that book answers that question. And with this crazy stuff about your content, if you carve it in a watermelon, or out of your hair or something, that's Instagram material.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Here's a good one from Scott Mowry. He says, I'm always amazed at how some larger businesses fail to promote their content well to their employees.
Mm-hmm.
They can be your best evangelist. That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. You've got a network. They're right there in your office.
Oh, yeah. I have a recent post that I wrote for Jeff Bullis's website, the 12 ways to jumpstart your employee advocacy program or something like that. But yeah, that's definitely less obvious than it should be to most companies, particularly when they grow up and they have 10 plus employees, and the only person that's in charge of promoting stuff on social media is the marketing person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's clever. Break down those silos. Okay, I guess that was it. Anything else to add?
Well, I don't know. I'm so honored and flattered that your tweet that we put up a few seconds ago I got answered so many times. So should we give this thing a hashtag and stay on it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't we just use Content Matters? Anyone out there, you guys are smarter than us. Anyone out there that has an idea, a non-obvious content promotion idea, you can share it. My Twitter handle's my last name, @Crestodina. Barry's is @Feldman Creative. But just put #Content Matters, and we'll find it. And we'll, if we get that in time, we'll include it in the roundup or the show notes. So yeah, I expect we'll get some good stuff.
Yeah, and if this becomes our most popular podcast ever, we'll make a book out of it or an infographic.
We'll make it our Facebook cover image description.
And skywrite it.
Yeah, and our Skype status.
We'll skywrite it in Cleveland during Content Marketing World. All right, so let's. I don't know how long we've gone, but we no longer care about the length of
True.
commutes, right? We're gonna touch these topics until we're exhausted. All right, so Cheese and Mousetrap, where we talk about a tip for content and a tip for conversion. I like this idea that while we're talking about all these places where you would promote your content, also talk about how to promote your content. And I like to see people describe their content based on its length or its accessibility or its medium. And so if it's short, say it's short, it'll take just 5 minutes, like the subtitle of my first book was Learn the Essentials of Search Engine Optimization in Under an Hour. That's a compelling idea. If it's not short, say the most in-depth blah, blah, blah ever. Tell people how many pages it is. And so think about when you're promoting it, sort of how to sell it.
I like that. Makes sense, right? It's about setting expectations. It's give people an idea what they're in for. I've got a mousetrap tip. My mousetrap tips are generally about conversions, and I like to talk about analytics. And this one's actually about traffic sources, so it touches on cheese. Your traffic sources each have different conversion rates. When people talk about how to improve their conversion rates, they often say, these are the things you can do to increase that total percentage of people who take action. You can also affect your conversion rates just by affecting the number of people who come from each traffic source with a high or low conversion rate. So if you suddenly start driving more traffic from a traffic source with a low conversion rate, you're going to push down your conversion rates, and vice versa. So look at your acquisition channels report, and it's going to be organized by that first column. It's called default channel grouping. Scroll over to the right and you'll see the conversion rates for each different channels and source of traffic. Click to drill down into the sources of traffic. So if, for example, for social, click on that and you're going to see each social network. Just see which social network or which channel in general drives the highest converting traffic, and then focus on that network. That's going to improve your conversion rate. It's the same thing as if you want to reduce your bounce rate, just try to deliberately take action to drive more traffic from the traffic sources that have lower bounce rates. So it's not necessarily obvious to the more junior marketer how traffic and conversion rates interact with each other, but pay attention to what channel gets what outcome, and keep in mind how that can affect the total conversion rate. I have people who say, wow, I'm killing it in social media, but my traffic rate dropped. I'm like, yeah, that's why your traffic rate dropped. Anyway, kind of a professorial tip there, but it's important to understand that relationship, and it's a powerful way to affect your total conversion rates is by optimizing different traffic channels.
Right on, right on. When you go to a Bruce Springsteen concert, you're not going to leave happy if he doesn't play Born to Run. When you come to an Andy Crestodina podcast, you're not going to leave happy if he didn't touch on analytics.
Okay.
So thank you for that. Next, when we talk to you guys again at Content Matters program, we are going to talk about storytelling, and I don't know that we're going to thrash it and slash it, but we are certainly going to challenge some common conventions that you might think and believe and have read about storytelling. So we're going to tell you the pros and cons, and perhaps even present some opposing opinions about it.
It's going to take a little time.
Should be fun. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Barry.